Welcome to the Riedell Report, brought to you by College Baseball Central, bringing you 90 feet closer to the greatest show on dirt. Now, here's your host.
Welcome back, College Baseball Central fans. My name is Andrew Riedell. We're in a new location for tonight's episode as we are entering week 3 of the college baseball season. We are still young in the season, but it is not too early to overreact or underreact if you ask some SEC fans who are most definitely overreacting to some midweek losses. As I just mentioned, we're entering week 3. 3 weeks go by really fast when you're having fun. So this week's a loaded slate. Loaded slate that, like, I'm looking at warrennolan.com as I am warrennolan.com. Tomorrow we got games starting off at noon. First pitch of the first game of the day is between Notre Dame and Alabama A&M in the battle of two fearless squads. But we have some heavy hitters on board. We got multiple round robin tournaments going on in Texas. We got 3 going on in Texas, I believe, in Arlington, Houston, and Frisco. We got the Keith LeClaire Classic happening in North Carolina. That is at East Carolina's facilities. You have the LSU tournament, I guess. I don't know what they're calling that. LSU's welcoming in some Northeastern squads this week. You also have the Greenville tournament going on in Greenville, South Carolina. But we have some real heavy hitters that I didn't even mention yet. I mentioned a few of the round robins that we're going to be jumping into tonight. But as I mentioned, my name is Andrew Riedell. If you haven't, or if this is your first time joining us, welcome aboard. Very excited to have you here. And hit subscribe on YouTube, College Baseball Central. Follow us at College Baseball Central. We are everywhere. Be on the lookout tomorrow to see where all of your favorite College Baseball Central reporters and analysts will be. I will give a little spoiler where I'll be. I will be in Miami. Play the Will Smith song, Miami, as I will be covering probably my favorite series of the week because of all the heated rivalries of these two in the past and all the different sports. It's war week here in Florida between the Florida Gators and the Miami Hurricanes. We'll get into that, but we are everywhere, as I just mentioned. We have people in Las Vegas for the Vegas baseball, the Las Vegas Baseball Classic. I think it's also called the Live Like Lou Baseball Classic. We are going to have people in Houston, Arlington, all over the place because it is that loaded of a weekend this weekend. And let's jump right into it with probably the biggest one of them all, the Amaji. This is weekend 3 in Arlington for some of these people, and this is probably the most loaded slate of all, as I got to move my logo on the top right to see the final logo. 6 teams come in, only one will emerge victorious champions. It's not a tournament, but it is round robin, so I guess someone is declared a victor at the end. As you have Arizona State, Mississippi State, Tennessee, Texas A&M, UCLA, and Virginia Tech all coming in to the I guess it's still new, the new Texas Rangers ballpark. Starting off tomorrow at 11 a.m., Arizona State and Mississippi State will go toe-to-toe. That'll be a very good one with Cole Carlin starting for Arizona State, going against Ryan McPherson for Mississippi State. UCLA and Tennessee, a potential, quotes, I'm going to put quotes around potential World Series matchup, because if Tennessee keeps on playing like they are playing against mid-majors, UCLA is going to give them a rude awakening. Virginia Tech and Texas A&M is the nightcap. And then Saturday, Tennessee will face off with Arizona State. Mississippi State versus Virginia Tech will follow. A&M and UCLA. Again, we can say that's a World Series preview. Sunday, Virginia Tech and Tennessee. UCLA, Mississippi State. It feels like every time I mention UCLA going against an SEC squad, it is a World Series matchup. And then Arizona State and Texas A&M to close us out in Arlington. Our very own Jake McKeever will be there. But wanted to jump into these. We're going with a little different of a show tonight because this slate is very big. We do have a mid-major matchup to talk about, but we also have some conferences starting their play. We're going to get into that at the end of the show. The Southland, they are starting their conference schedule, but I feel like there are some bigger series going on that we should be talking about tonight. And this starts it off. Arizona State's coming in 8-1 with a massive upset victory Tuesday night over Oklahoma, whooping them 18-3. 18-3. They just explode all over the Oklahoma defense or Oklahoma pitching staff, but Oklahoma responds with a walk-off win yesterday. This Arizona State team, the big question coming in with Arizona State this year was, is their pitching going to live up to the hype? Willie Bloomquist is entering this year. Granted, he did just get a contract extension. He was rumored to be on the hot seat a little. Arizona State is a blue blood in college baseball. We've been throwing around that term very loosely lately, but Arizona State is a blue blood. Some alumni come from this school. Barry Bonds, obviously, is the biggest one. Reggie Jackson also went to Arizona State. The big question with this pitching staff, or not this pitching staff, this team is, could the pitching come and respond and set the tone early in this season? And they have, led by Cole Carlin on Friday nights. He's leading the way with a 1.64 ERA. He's 2-0 in 11 innings, 12 Ks for the right-hander. Leading the way offensively for them is New Contreras. Arizona State, obviously, just mentioned that. He's hitting .394 with 4 home runs, 15 RBIs. I'm going to mention this later when we finish all the teams about the home runs, though. Heading on over Mississippi State. We talked about my rankings the other day with Mississippi State. I had them ranked in the teens originally. But this team, I think they're going to go 3-0 this week. I think by the end of this week, we're going to be talking about Mississippi State being the number 1 team in the country. Brian O'Connor has come in, established his program, and he's really set it going right off the bat. Leading the way is probably, if Rock Chalwisky did not exist, he's probably the leading candidate for the Golden Spikes Award. Ace Reese, he has my vote. He's hitting .514 on the young year. This week, he's been mashing the ball all over the ballpark. He's already got 8 doubles. Shocker. He is the doubles king of the SEC last year with 3 home runs and 15 RBIs. I mentioned Ryan McPherson, but Thomas Valankus, his brother, also transferred in as well. Mississippi State transferred in from Virginia, where BOC was. He's 2-0, hasn't given up a run in 11 1/3 innings, 13 Ks for the Southpaw, actually. Then Tennessee, I gave them a little hate, actually, so I got to cover my tracks here. But Tennessee, I'm not worried about them. If they go 1-3 in this week, it's gonna be okay. Yeah, we got to be worried about them, but I'm not that worried about them. I think that I mentioned it right here, their pitching staff, look at that, a 1.32 ERA in their first 2 weekends, 34 innings pitched, 49 Ks. I'm not really worried about the pitching. It's the offense that I'm a little worried about. Blaine Brown, he's only hitting .303, which we'll talk about another round robin here in a minute where a star is struggling. But it feels like there hasn't been a clear power hitter, or not even a clear power hitter, a clear best hitter on this Tennessee team yet. I think Blaine Brown's going to lead the way in that. Last year, you had Andrew Fisher kind of leading that way where he got on base every game of the year. And he was a legitimate threat to put the ball out at any given point. I see that with the Tennessee lineup, but I just don't see that on-base threat as much as I did last year. I get it. It's only been 2 weeks. And that Kent State series, it felt like literally no one wanted to be there, even the fans. I get it. You lost Sunday, but not being able to show up for your fans or for your team when you're supposedly the new college baseball powerhouse, that's kind of just disappointing. The Tennessee pitching staff, not worried about. I already mentioned that. Texas A&M, again, this is another team where coming in here, they can really put some people on notice. Last year, obviously the disappointing end with getting swept by Missouri and not making the NCAA tournament. They come in red hot. The offense is hot. They're coming in just smoking the ball as well. Pitching has been unbelievable. Shane Sadeo, I didn't even mention here, but Aiden Sims with a 1.38 ERA, 13 innings pitched, 2-0, 17 Ks. Obviously, another Golden Spikes candidate here, as there's 3 clear-cut Golden Spikes candidates coming into this into Arlington this week. Caden Sorrell is hitting .429 with 5 home runs, 16 RBIs, and 7 singles. I kid you not. I think he has 12 hits, 5 home runs, 7 singles. That's why I put that earlier. And then you have arguably, in some people's polls, some media companies' polls, the number 1 team in the country, UCLA, who's coming off an upset. Kevin Vance and San Diego State upsetted the Bruins in LA the other day, 4-3. I'm not worried. I mean, if you're losing Sundays and losing midweeks, just don't make it a habit. But I think UCLA is going to be fine. I think they're going to go 2-1 this week. I think Mississippi State's going to be the team that takes them down. But they have arguably the best player in college baseball, Rock Chalowski. He's hitting .400 with 6 home runs, 12 RBIs, and 3 doubles. He's been phenomenal. You can go up and down this lineup and just it's junior. Noah Darling, our founder and owner, I guess. He wrote a phenomenal article just talking about this team's maturity and how sticking together for these last 3 years is finally paying off now. He was there obviously for TCU's slaughtering by UCLA, so he's gotten to see it firsthand now. Michael Barnett's leading the way pitching wise, 10 innings, 1.80 ERA, 8 Ks. Tomorrow night, Logan Redeman will get the ball. He's been phenomenal since transferring in from San Diego. He is he's one of my favorite players in college baseball to watch. Then you got Virginia Tech. Again, we mentioned Arizona State's pitching staff. Virginia Tech, same situation where they just bring in a new pitching coach, hot seat on their head coach. How can this Virginia Tech team respond? They respond by coming into Arlington with a winning record. Sam Gruby leading the way offensively, and Ethan Grimm, cousin of Ben Grimm. If you don't get that reference of Ben Grimm, go read a comic book. Fantastic Four reference right there. Ethan Grimm's leading the way, pitching wise, 3.52 ERA, only in 7 innings. I'm not really worried about Virginia Tech. My hot take here actually is that Virginia Tech will come out of here 2-1 with a winning record. Yes, they do get Tennessee, Mississippi State, and A&M. I think they take one of those 3 down, and I think it's going to be Tennessee, that early Sunday game. I think they'll get to Blanco early. They faced Evan Blanco before, obviously being in-state rivals with Virginia. I think they'll get to Blanco early, and I'm very excited to see how this Virginia Tech team responds. I talked to a lot of ACC people now since I'm covering Miami, and they just rave about how good this Virginia Tech team is going to be. Staying in the state of Texas, we're moving a little west, I think, to Frisco. With another Frisco round robin. This one's with 4 teams, though. You got the Alabama Crimson Tide going toe-to-toe with Oregon State Beavers, the Iowa Hawkeyes, and the Houston Cougars. And this is another fun one. I got to see Iowa last week. Obviously, I've watched a lot of Oregon State. I've watched some Alabama, and I've watched a little of Houston as well. And I'm going to say this. I think Iowa can make a lot of noise here. We'll get to Iowa in a minute, but let's get to know a little bit more of these teams. Alabama's coming in with a winning record. I think they only dropped that first game to Washington State, and they've been on a winning streak ever since, taking down their mid-major midweek opponents. Or no, they actually just got run-rolled by Southern Miss, actually. Known Jake McKeever blue blood right there. Alabama coming off a run rule. They are in a very interesting spot, but it feels like they haven't won at Southern Miss since 2009, I believe, if my brain is thinking correctly. Trying to get the schedule here. We get Houston and Oregon State to start it off tomorrow, and Alabama and Iowa follow. Iowa and Houston to start Saturday. Alabama and Oregon State on Saturday night. Oregon State, Iowa Sunday morning. Houston, Alabama Sunday night. This is going to be a very fun one, especially watching freshman Miles Upchurch. Really, he's starting to blossom into a true Friday night guy. He's been unhittable in his first 2 outings, 9 innings, 16 Ks. We mentioned a little earlier about struggling shortstops with that Tennessee team not really having a true slugger out of the gate. I'm going to mention it here with Alabama. Justin LeBron's struggling. Yes, he's got a pair of home runs, but it feels like it's pop or no pop right now. He's been struggling out of the gate to get going for the Crimson Tide. I'm not worried about him. He's obviously one of the best players in college baseball. He's obviously one of the best players in college baseball, but I'm not worried about LeBron. Luke Vaughn coming in for Alabama this year, hitting .316 with a double, 3 home runs, 9 RBIs. This Alabama lineup has looked a little rough. They have been in some one-run games here and there, and obviously Southern Miss pitching did shut them down on Tuesday, so I'm not really worried about them. I am a little worried in that Oregon State game. Oregon State obviously has some really good pitching, but I'm not that worried about them. Leading into Oregon State, another team that we should be worried about their offensive struggles. Jacob Galloway is their leading hitter, .429, 4 doubles, 3 RBIs. This team only has 2 home runs. Galloway's got one of them, I believe, and then Krieg has got 1 home run. This is an Oregon State team that they just renovated their whole lineup. A lot of kids went to some other out west schools, going to San Diego State. The biggest one, Trenton Caraway, going to LSU, and then their lineups just looked flat out of the gate. Obviously, Dak Whitney is pitching lights out, striking out 17 last Friday. He's got an ERA under 1. His record 0-0 though. He has no wins to back it up, and it's crazy what the pitching staff's been able to pitch decent, but the offensive power, the offensive capability has really just not been at Mitch Canham's. They play a very aggressive style of baseball and hasn't been at that form yet. So I'm wondering if this last stay in Texas. A little interesting tidbit: Oregon State went from Round Rock last week back home to Oregon State for a couple days, and then came back home. Not came back home, but they came back to Frisco. Some interesting rules there where they had to go to school, obviously. But I'm very interested to see if Oregon State's offense will get it going this weekend. But it's really tough when you get an Alabama pitching staff that's very good. You're getting Zane Adams on Saturday. That's going to be a very good matchup. 2 very good lefties right there. Iowa's got some very good pitching. A little slow out of the gate as well, but I think Iowa's pitching is going to be very good to go against. And then this Houston team has a very up-and-coming team under Todd Whitting, but I'm very interested to see how this Oregon State team will get it going this week. And that really goes for all 4. As you see my question there at the bottom. Do these offenses wake up in Frisco? Alabama's offense struggled. Iowa's offense, they got it going last week against FAU, led by Gable Mitchell. I saw him, and I think he got on base every time against FAU. He's hitting .517 with 3 doubles, a triple, a home run, and 8 RBIs. He's been a phenomenal leadoff hitter for the Hawkeyes. And Logan Rundy leading the way on Fridays for the Hawkeyes with a 2.57 ERA in 7 innings, 8 Ks. So Houston, we do not have a problem after dropping 2 out of 3 to UT Rio Grande Valley. We'll talk about them in a minute. But this is a very interesting Houston team. I mentioned the starting pitching, only giving up 3 runs in 27 innings to start the year. They're going with Schmitz, Hoffman, and Roman again. Very excited to see this Houston pitching staff get it going. And I think I asked that question, do the offenses wake up in Frisco? It's going to be tough when you're also going against very good pitching. Iowa's bullpen, very good. Houston's pitching has been very good to start. Oregon State's got one of the best pitching staffs in the country. Alabama, Tyler Fay, Zane Adams, Miles Upchurch. That's a very good weekend rotation, even with a freshman anchoring it. I'm very excited to see how the pitching's going to respond, but I would like to see some of these offenses wake up. So when we do start going to conference, obviously Oregon State's independent, but when Alabama, Iowa, and Houston go into these conferences starting in a few weeks, you don't want it starting so back, especially with Rob Vaughn leading the way at Alabama. I don't want to see Alabama, especially when you have that star power. You're getting Sam Christensen back in a few weeks from the broken foot. You don't want to be lagging back. Next up, we're going to Houston. Staying in Texas, but our final stop in Texas. I'm actually repping one of the teams today. Ohio State is in this, the Bruce Bolt College Classic. Jake McKeever will also be at this one as well. Ohio State, Baylor, Texas, Ole Miss, Coastal Carolina, and UTSA. You got three of the best teams, not the best, but three of the best teams in the state of Texas, all coming to one here. As UTSA is coming off their first loss of the year. Coastal Carolina is coming off some very tough news with losing Cam Flukie for this weekend and the foreseeable future. And Hayden Johnson's dealing with a stress fracture in his elbow. Ole Miss is entering this weekend 9-0 for the first time since 2022. I'm going to double check this actually, but in 2022, I think they did something very special. They did. I'm just double checking my facts here. Yes, they did. This is a Ole Miss team in 2022. They were 9-0 and they won the College World Series. So if you're a gambling man and you believe in those stats, there's something. Texas coming in with the best pitching staff so far coming into this weekend. Baylor's coming off of some very fun baseball, I'm going to say, the way they've been playing to start the year. And Ohio State, Justin Harris got them trending in the right direction, in my opinion, but they are still kind of in that rebuilding phase. But I'm very confident in the direction the Buckeyes are going. Starting us off, Ohio State, Mason Eckelman offensively is leading them, 346 average, 2 home runs, 10 RBIs, and a triple. Pierce Herrenbrook leading the way on the mound, 2.70 ERA, 10 innings, and only 7 Ks, but strikeouts don't matter if you don't give up runs. Tice Armstrong's obviously the name to know for Baylor. Opening night, 3 grand slams. He's been mashing since. He's added a home run and 7 RBIs. He's got 2 doubles to lead the way as well for the Baylor Bears. Zach Wallace on the mound. He's been phenomenal to start for the Bears. 8 in the third innings, 1.08 ERA with 9 Ks. And then we can talk about this Texas team all damn night. Jim Schlossnagel's growing a mustache, for God's sakes. He made a bet with Casey Borba saying if we get a 5-game winning streak, which I feel like that was very easy. I should have made it 10 or 15, but he's got to grow a mustache. It's got to stay on, I guess, till they lose, which could come this week. But the way they've been pitching and hitting, Ethan Mendoza I chose, but I could have went with him. Adrian Rodriguez, Aiden Robbins hitting over 400. I went with Ethan Mendoza. He's put on 15 pounds of weight, and he's been mashing the ball all over the ballpark. He's hitting 448 with 3 home runs and 10 RBIs and a double. And then that 3-headed monster. It's not even a 3-headed monster. It's like a 15-headed monster in that bullpen too. Ruger Riojas leading the way on Friday nights. Ethan Harrison on Saturday, and Dylan Valantis is probably the best Sunday starter in the country. They have an ERA of 1.05 in 34 2/3 innings, striking out 44 guys. They've looked very good in their first 2 weekends leading into this. Again, it was against some inferior opponents, but I don't think that really matters for Max Wiener and this pitching staff. You're going against the New York Yankees and you're going against the best of the best every time. Go prove it, no matter what uniform they're wearing. They've looked phenomenal to start the season, and I'm very excited to see how they match up here. Ole Miss, we just mentioned them. They're 9-0 for the first time since they won the national championship. They come into this with a lot of good things going on. They faced a little adversity last week with Missouri State. They were trailing in that Sunday game 3-2 or 2-1, and then they end up squeaking out a win 3-2. Tristan Becerra, the Clemson transfer, he's been a big mark in this offensive in this lineup so far, hitting .485 with 3 doubles, 3 home runs, and 16 RBIs. This is an Ole Miss lineup that returns a big chunk of it. Hayden Federico, Will Furness is another guy to know. Will Furness has walked like 12 times already this year. But Tristan Becerra being able to come in and fill that slot at DH and in left field for the Rebels, he's been phenomenal out of the gate early. Cade Townsend, he was their Sunday starter these last 2 weeks. Will Lebert's also gotten an opportunity to start. And then obviously you have Hunter Elliott leading. He's probably one of the best pitchers in the SEC as well. Cade Townsend is only given up 1 run. If he pitched an extra out, his ERA would be 1. He's gotten 16 Ks and 8 2/3 of an inning. And then this Coastal Carolina team, I just mentioned it. They are coming in very banged up. They lose Dominic Carbone to Tommy John surgery. Cameron Fluke, he's now dealing with with a rib injury. And then Hayden Johnson is dealing with a stress fracture in his elbow. And the only good news is that Ryan Lynch is coming back in a few weeks. It's a very not bad time to be a Coastal Carolina fan, but it's like you kind of just scratching your head like, wow, like we just made it to the College World Series final, and then this is happening to us. We lose Jacob Morrison to the draft. We lose a bunch of guys. You lose Caden Bodine. You lose a bunch of key pieces, and you return a lot of key pieces. And you thought you had the best starter in the country, and he goes down with an injury. It's very unfortunate. I hate injuries in college baseball, but it is what it is. The next man up. That next man for Coastal, I believe, is Case Bosch. I'm going to recommend this to everyone. Go follow CCU War Room. That is the pitching staff's Instagram. It is phenomenal. Case Bush is a freshman coming in for Coastal. He has given up a run in 10 innings this year. He's got 11 strikeouts. I think they're going to transition him to the Sunday start this weekend. I haven't seen what their rotation looks for the weekend, but this kid's electric. If you have a name like Case Bush, a case of Bush beer, like you got to be hammering shit. You got to be hammering this shit. And he has been phenomenal out of the gate. The Head First podcast says this a lot. I'm going to give them a big props here. If there's a pitching coach that you want to help develop, find a next headline starter, it is Matt Williams right now. You've seen what him and his staff have been able to do with Cameron Fluke, Jacob Morrison, a bunch of other arms. Just trust in Matt Williams, and this Coastal team will be fine. Dean Mijos, I was a big fan of him going into Omaha last year. Obviously, he was coming off of an injury at that point. He's hitting .424 this year. He's come off of he came in Omaha hot, got hot, and then he stayed hot coming into the year. 2 doubles, a home run, and 7 RBIs. Last but not least is a mid-major team. Yes, a mid-major team, the UTSA Roadrunners. They are still without frontline starter Robert Orlowski as he's dealing with a shoulder injury. But look no long, or I don't know how the saying goes. But they have Kendall Dove leading the way. He's been phenomenal for the Roadrunners, stepping up in the pitching department for them. He's only given up 1 run in 9 innings, 11 Ks, and he's 2-0. The big thing here, Drew Detlefson, this offense has been mashing. They just had their first loss to Texas State, which is another very good team, but it's good to get that adversity out of the way early because I think this UTSA team, I think this offense is just going to keep mashing. You lose Mason Little last year. Okay, fine. We have Drew Detlefson. He was the AAC or the American Conference newcomer of the year last year. He was phenomenal. He's leading the way offensively, 3.67 with a home run, 3 RBIs, and 2 doubles to start the way. There's other round robins here going on, like the Live Like Lou Vegas Classic. I'm not going to go into that. There's UC Irvine's playing in that as a mid-major, but I wanted to get into some of these series. We only get an hour here, and I don't want to go into anyone else's time here. But let's jump into, we got 4 series to talk about. Let's jump into it with my favorite mid-major matchup of the week. We are heading to the Love Shack, baby. Hell yes. Southern Mississippi coming off of a great week in Round Rock, a massive win at home at the Pete against Alabama, run ruling them 14-4, and they go into Ruston, Louisiana to go toe-to-toe with the Louisiana Tech Bulldogs. The rotations will go Colby Allen for Southern Miss, who's been electric on Friday nights for them. Graydon Harris, game 2. McCarty English, game 3. Declan Dahl will come out first for the Bulldogs. Hudson Rowan will start Saturday. Brooks Robertson will come Sunday. Brooks Robertson is my player to watch for Louisiana Tech. He's been phenomenal on Sundays for them. He's pitched to an ERA under 2 in this early season with 11 1/3 innings. He's got 9 Ks to back that up. Another key arm to watch here is Southern Miss's closer, Camden Sundstrom. He's got a save already this year, 11 1/3 innings. He's got 17 Ks and ERA under 2 as well. Just been phenomenal. The Southern Miss pitching staff has been phenomenal under new pitching coach Gunnar Ledger. But, I mean, Christian Ostrander plays a big part in that as well. But having one of the best Sunbelt pitching coaches come in from a rival, actually, in Louisiana Lafayette has really helped that department as a lot. Louisiana Tech's key player to know, Colby Lunsford. He's hitting .455 with 6 doubles, 4 RBIs to start the year. Louisiana Tech's been coming in real hot. They only got 1 loss on the year. 1 loss on the year. They're 8-1. They only dropped 1 game to McNeese, which I guess is the hottest team in the country. Come on, McNeese. But they've picked up wins over Houston Christian, Ohio State, and Memphis, and a midweek win over the Northwestern State Demons, which is another hot team. My prediction here, I think Louisiana Tech's going to take 2 out of 3 here. I think Louisiana Tech's starting to get back into that conversation of one of the best mid-majors in college baseball. You can clip that. I think Louisiana Tech's going to take 2 out of 3 here. I think Louisiana Tech's, you're kind of playing to that home field advantage with the Love Shack. The Love Shack's a beautiful place to play at, and I think the fans are going to show up. I think Louisiana Tech's going to give them a little taste of the medicine of what's going to be coming in the Sun Belt, especially with, oh my God, he's alive. Delta Dimes saying wrong as his Twitter was banned today. Free my boy Delta Dimes. Free dimes. I think Louisiana Tech's coming in hotter. Southern Miss, you're kind of heating. Could they be heating up too early? I could be wrong. I think I will be wrong, actually. But I'm going with the Bulldogs to take 2 out of 3 this weekend. I think they're just going to put the pressure on them. And those Friday nights, Saturday nights at the Love Shack, they get weird. Louisiana Tech's play some weird games at night. I think they're going to come out and put the pressure on Southern Miss early. Next up, we are heading over to the Palmetto State, South Carolina. I had to redo this slide, so I had my pitching matchup early for this one. As South Carolina and Clemson are going toe-to-toe. They're going to Founders Park tomorrow. I think Durham on Saturday, and then they'll be ending up at Clemson on Sunday. I don't know the minor league park they're going to on Saturday, but this is obviously one of my favorite rivalries to watch and cover. As last year, Clemson sweeps South Carolina, and it seems like South Carolina fans are already fed up this year with Paul Mainieri. The fire Monty Lee talks are already coming from the fans. Paul Mainieri chants, fire Paul, already heating up for South Carolina fans, and I feel bad for South Carolina. You lose your ace before opening day. You lose your number 2 for multiple weeks. And then you rely on a freshman to come out and lead the way Friday nights, and he hasn't been what's been advertised. The pitching has struggled. Offensively, this is the second time that Paul Mainieri's ever let a catcher call pitches in this day and age. It's crazy. It's South Carolina's. I don't want to count them out early this year, but it looks like it's heading that way. If you're a South Carolina fan, I'm sorry. They're making the switch of Josh Gunther to Friday night. He will go up against Aiden Kanak. Ant Phillips, the USC upstate transfer, will stick on Saturday. He'll go against Michael Sharman. And then game 3 will be Talon Bell against Riley Goodman. Riley Goodman was the Friday starter for South Carolina for 2 weeks. But I guess that Army game really called it quits for them. But I mentioned it, Talmadge LaCroix catching for the South Carolina Razorbacks, Gamecocks. He's been mashing so far. Another guy to look out for is freshman Will Craddock. He's hitting 500 with 2 home runs, 6 RBIs, and 2 doubles. I think Clemson sweeps here. It feels like it's just down. Everything's down in South Carolina. The momentum's down in South Carolina. It feels like everything is just not going right for them. It's going to take a lot for them to get right. Clemson's obviously one of the best teams in the ACC and one of the best teams in the country. I think Aiden Kanak's one of the best Friday night arms in the country. I think they're just going to take care of business. Nate Savoy, he's been mashing for Clemson. He's hitting 467. Jacob Giral, he's hitting above 300 as well with 4 home runs, 12 RBIs. This Clemson team, they really haven't faced adversity early. So my big question for this week is, does South Carolina put any adversity into them? Do they give them any adversity? And how does Clemson respond to that? We've obviously seen South Carolina dealt with a lot of adversity early. Let's see how they keep responding. They obviously drop not big midweek. They lose to Queens last year, who had nine wins, and I don't think they're going to have a baseball program next year since they're merging with Elon, unless they will stick to be Elon's University of Queens, which I think that will probably happen. But Queens only had 9 wins last year, and now they're picking up a big midweek win against South Carolina. I mean, it just feels like nothing's going right in Columbia, South Carolina, and you hope that they figure it out sooner or later, or we're going to be seeing a hot board sooner than later as well. Next up, we're heading a little bit more south of South Carolina to Alabama, as another one of my favorite matchups this week is the Auburn Tigers against the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Nebraska came into Texas very well last week. They picked up a big murder of FSU last week. They enter this weekend 4-3. 4-3. They start off in Arizona. They started off 2-0. They dropped that final game to Stanford, but picked up wins against Northeastern and Grand Canyon. Then they go to Texas. They avoided the 0-3 start, but they played very close games with Kansas State and Louisville, and then blow out FSU on Sunday. That FSU team was dealing with some sickness, which led for Trey Beard to only pitch in relief for a certain amount of pitches. But I'm very excited for this series. This Nebraska team coming off a NCAA tournament appearance, their Big Ten Conference Championship. I'm very excited to see this matchup. Auburn, their bats haven't really been anything, and that's with the news of Chris Rembert coming back. Chris Rembert got injured, I'm pretty sure, the Friday or Saturday of opening weekend. And they've been without him for these last 2 weeks for the most part. But other guys have really stepped up for Auburn this to start it off. Chase Fralick, Bristol Carter leading the way offensively for them. Chase Fralick last year, it just seemed like he couldn't get that offensive stride going. But Auburn, it's not letting me go to that website. But Auburn baseball, there we go. Auburn coming in 7-1. They are coming off I think they were in Texas as well last week. They were in Texas last well. These two teams just did not play each other in Arlington last week. Kansas State, they swept the week in Arlington, beating Kansas State 5-1, then beating FSU 8-5, and then beating Louisville 10-6, and picking up a close midweek victory over West Georgia 4-3. The big headline here for me is this Auburn pitching staff's been phenomenal. Jake Marciano leading the way on Friday nights. He's been shoving, like absolute definition of shoving. He's had big shoes to fill replacing Samuel Dutton on Friday nights for this Auburn pitching staff. And I've mentioned it with this Auburn pitching staff. They are replacing a lot of innings in the starting rotation, and they're not even going to guys that they used last year, like Christian Chatterton, Andreas Alvarez. They're trusting them more out of the bullpen, and I don't blame them. Jake Barciano, the Virginia Tech transfer, has come in and been phenomenal to start this year for them. Jackson Sanders, another lefty, he's been phenomenal to start. Alec Petrovic as well. Ty Horn's been electric on Friday nights for Nebraska, and I think that's going to be a very close series. I think Auburn's going to sweep them, but I think every game's going to be within that 1-3 margin. Like, obviously, as a betting man, I'm not going to have any confidence betting run lines or money line here, because I think that Auburn's going to win them, and I think it's going to be within that 1-3 margin. I have more confidence in the Auburn pitching staff to limit Nebraska's damage, and with Chris Rembert coming back for Auburn, I think that's a big boost in their lineup as well. Wrapping up my series preview before we get into my favorite conference preview is the game I'll be at. UF and Miami. It's War Week in Miami, if you ask the fans. And this is probably the best matchup of the week. We get 3 of these games, and it's going to be heated. And that's because it's going to be like 75 degrees out there. So, Liam Peterson versus AJ Siskar will start us off Friday night. Aiden King and Rob Evans on Saturday. And I guess Miami released their rotation with Tate DeRios. Tate DeRios getting the Sunday start. But on his show today, JD Ortega said that it'll be either Tate DeRios or Lyndon Glidewell, the Austin Pay transfer. I think it's the Austin Pay transfer. Lyndon Glidewell will get the start on Sunday, and they will go up against Hawaii transfer Cooper Walls, who's been phenomenal to start the year for the Gators. This is a very, very fun matchup, and you all know why. Miami's coming in 9-0. UF's only coming in with 1 loss. Miami's dealt with adversity. Same with Florida. Florida's dealt with adversity since the fall. Miami dealt with adversity last night against FAU, and a bunch of I don't even want to talk about that game because FAU really just blew it. But you got to talk about it because Miami really composed themselves. They chipped away. Daniel Gouvet hits the big home run to make it 7-6. Brylan West then gives them the league, and then Jake Ogden clears the bases to just get the kill shot, as Pear would say, as that is a literal kill shot. Miami's pitching really limited the damage against, I think, one of the better offensive teams in the American. Marshall Lipsy started getting it going for the American FAU Owls, but I'm not worried, obviously, about Miami's pitching, or not their pitching. I'm not worried about Miami's offense. Look at these numbers they're putting up already. They put up 149 RBIs and a lot more runs to start the year. 152 runs, I believe now. They're hitting 374. And when I was making this graphic for the players to know and the players to watch, I could really put any one of 13 guys for that players to watch. And I decided to go with Alonzo Alvarez, a true freshman, coming in hitting 500 already on the young year. And he's been in all 8 games, all 9 games. He's only started in 5. That's how many opportunities that Coach Artiega has been able to give his guys because they've been up in so many of these games. Again, they haven't faced the best teams. And I think this weekend will be a true test of that. You're facing a top first-round arm in Liam Peterson. You're facing a 2027 top 1 arm in Aiden King and Cooper Walls. So this is a very good test on both sides because it will say if Liam Peterson really deserves to be in that Friday night role for Florida, and will Miami's offense keep rolling going into ACC play. The bright side is for Miami is this weekend they get Florida. Next weekend they get Boston College. So it's not like you go from like playing Florida to UCLA. You're going from UF to Boston College, and that's no disrespect on Boston College. For Florida, Brendan Lawson has been mashing the ball. Whenever I see Joe Doyle from Overslot tweet about a top 27 guy, he's always mentioning Brendan Lawson as the 1-1 there. But there's like 5 guys that can go in that 1-1, but Brendan Lawson definitely earns that talk. He's hitting 469 on the young year with 3 doubles, a triple, and 3 home runs and 19 RBIs. This kid's been mashing. Last week, let me pull up the tweet from my good friend Isaac Edelman over at UF. He put up a really good tweet saying that UF baseball, if I can find it, here it is. Gators baseball has scored 40 runs over the last 3 games without a single home run. That is crazy. That is crazy for them. So I'm very excited to see 2 very hot offenses come into Alex Rodriguez Field. And Ethan Surwick, this is a kid I watched in the fall, and I said this because it's going to be a top 3 round pick, and he's been nothing but phenomenal already for the Gators this year, and I think he's going to transfer himself into that Golden Spikes conversation this year. I think he's going to be in that 15 to 20 range for home runs. I think he's going to get the bat going with more pop. Like I said, this team has scored 40 runs with 40 runs without a single home run. The home runs will start going. They're hitting the balls in the gap. They just got to get them over the fence now. My big official prediction for this is I got to go with the U. I got to go with Miami. Obviously, having Rob Evans back on Saturday, that's going to be huge for them. I think Miami's offense is just too good. I think we're talking about a top 5 offense in the country with UCLA, with LSU, with Mississippi State, with a bunch of these top 5 teams. And I think Miami's really going to come in here and take 2 out of 3. I think they're going to take Friday and Saturday, and then Florida will be able to salvage Sunday. But I'm very excited to see this series. I will be there Saturday and Sunday drinking some Mark-like milkshakes. I'll put out a poll tomorrow on which milkshake I should get. But I'm very excited to be at this one. But I wanted to end this show on a very, where is it? Here it is. Yep, right there. Sorry, I had to share. I wanted to end this episode off on talking about the Southland. Micah Butel brought it up. Obviously, he works at Lamar. So, oh great, I gotta get rid of this ad now. Sorry. We're starting off with some very, very good conference play going off. McNeese and Nichols starting it off tomorrow. UTRGV going against Lamar. That's a potential 1 versus 2 in the Southland Conference. Incarnate Word, Nick Selesky gets his first Southland conference game in as head coach against Houston Christian, the NCAA conference tournament representative from last year, the conference championship winner. Stephen F. Austin coming in a little bit hot, going into UNO, who just picked up a big Game 1 Pelican Cup victory. Andrew Gibson's, that's his first game in the Southland Southland Conference as the UNO head coach, getting his first win in the Pelican Cup as well. Southeastern, if you told me these records were flipped, I would think you'd be lying. Southeastern's coming in 2-6 in Northwestern State. Southeastern's really struggled to get it going early on this season. And then last but not least, a non-conference one is Texas Southern, Texas A&M, Corpus Christi. But let's talk about these a little. McNeese going into Nichols. Nichols is under year 2 with a new coach. McNeese is coming in with Justin Hill at head coach and picking up a huge midweek win over LSU. Justin Hill's alma mater. That's his 4th win against them. My God, I'm just getting ads left and right. Sorry. McNeese, I think McNeese is going to come in here, take care of business. I think McNeese is going to be in that top half of the Southland again. I'm gonna save this one for last. Sorry, Micah, if you're watching. Incarnate Word and Houston Christian. Incarnate Word's come in into the Nick Zaleski era really well, in my opinion. They've obviously haven't played the best opponents either, but I think they're going to take care of the Houston Christian. I'm very excited to see how Nick Zaleski is going to keep this offense going. Stephen F. Austin and UNO. Obviously, UNO seems to be Tulane's kryptonite. I don't know if I have any Tulane fans watching, so I'm sorry. But UNO seemed to be Tulane's kryptonite, and I think UNO's heading in the right direction under Andrew Gibson. This is a program that doesn't have much resources, but they have a proven winner from Belhaven and Andrew Gibson and a very good coaching core. I think UNO is going to take 2 out of 3 here. Southeastern, Northwestern State, I really don't know which way this one's going to go. I thought Southeastern was going to come in guns a-blazing, pitching staff looking elite, but they get manhandled by Kent State, getting swept there, and then just struggling, going 2-2 this last week. I got a lot of questions with Southeastern, but I think Northwestern will keep their momentum going. I think they're going to take 2 out of 3 from Southeastern. But last but not least, this UT Rio Grande Valley series versus Lamar is my series of the week in the Southland. And this is probably the second best mid-major matchup of the week with UTRGV and Lamar going toe-to-toe. UTRGV is coming off a run rule loss to Lamar, or not to Lamar, to Texas. And Lamar is coming off a run rule loss of themselves to Texas A&M, and Jake McKeever was hyping up Lamar. And I said, no, Jake, don't look too much into it. Lamar's looking forward to UTRGV. And I guess they were. I mean, I don't want to say they were, but if you look at the result, it's like it was 25-5. Come on, people. Sorry. These are two of the best teams in the Southland. I think right now, if everything keeps on trending the way it is trending, I think that this will be the number 1, the number 2. These will be our 2 teams hosting the Southland Conference tournament sites. If you don't know how it goes, 4 teams on each side. So the 1 seed will host 3 other teams in their bracket, and then the 2 seed will host 3 teams on their side of the bracket, and they go to their stadiums. Last year was in Hammond, and the other one was at UTRGV. UTRGV, obviously, they've struggled out of the gate, losing some games against Kansas. They did take 2 out of 3 against Houston last week before dropping the midweek to Texas. And then Lamar's really come out of the gate too, getting a big midweek win over Kansas, taking the series over Oakland. And I think Lamar's going to come out here and make a statement. I think Lamar, obviously, I've hyped up Lamar as America's team. This is America's team. And I think the winner of the Southland will be America's team, in my opinion. But I think UTRGV, I still have some questions about their pitching. I think they have one of the best offenses in the country. Lamar seems to have found a legit guy in Chris Oliver, who's just been nothing but strikeout. Strikes out 16 opening night and has just been nothing but lights out for Lamar going forward. Oh, I'm about to sneeze. I'm sorry. Nope, I'm not. Okay, never mind. Sorry. And UTRGV, Armani Ragosa, his bat is phenomenal. Sergio Lopez, the McNeese transfer coming into UTRGV, he'll get the nod tomorrow night against Lamar, but I think this is going to be must-see TV. If you are a true fan of mid-major baseball, you need to be watching this series. Like you got to get multiple screens. I've mentioned that multiple times now. You got to get a good screen setup. You got to have at least 3-4 TVs. No, I'm kidding. Get a laptop, get your phone, ESPN Plus. It's all there. Everything's so accessible now through your phone. So that is it from me. It is 8:59 here on the East Coast. Tomorrow I will not be at any game, sadly, but I will be in Miami Saturday and Sunday. I'm very excited for this week of baseball. We're going to be back here Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. 8 p.m. Eastern to recap everything that happened this week and talk some more college baseball. We're going to go over my rankings, the winners of the last week. Do we need to start panicking about some teams? Winners, losers, players of the week, my recaps of all these series, all these round robins. Let's get into it. Be back here Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern. I love you all. Thank you for all tuning in tonight to the Riedell Report. College Baseball Central will be everywhere this week. Make sure to follow me at Twitter, Riedell Andrew, College Baseball Central on Twitter and on YouTube. And let's have a great weekend. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night.